The lore of Hytale is an aspect of the game that I've been drastically following since the trailer dropped in late 2018. Throughout the years, I've taken a look at all of the concept arts, all of the videos that have been shared with the team, all of the small hints of lore, and created a own mini story kind of in my head of what I believe the lore is going to be in Hytale. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the 16-minute gameplay clip that Simon showed us on Tuesday and pick out all of these small little aspects of the Hytale lore in that video that you guys probably didn't notice, and it's just some things that I've taken a look at and noticed on my third, fourth, or even fifth time watching that gameplay clip. If you're a big fan of the Hytale lore, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, trying to get to 10K before Hytale drops. And with that being said, guys, enjoy the video. Let's start this off with a good one. About a minute 21 in this video, when the player is fighting this skeleton, he takes a look back and you can see a circular white structure in the back of this video for about 1, maybe 2 seconds. And in my opinion, my brain's like, oh my god, that is clearly a temple. So if you take a look at the Hytale concept art for a temple, you can see a sort of roundish circular structure at the top that then goes down into a temple at the bottom. And this is what exactly I believe this temple is. And this is, for example, I would call it a Gaia temple. You can see by the Gaia symbol on the door, and it's behind this little Gaia statue. There's a door and there's one with a tree in it. There's a bunch of different versions of these temples, and I 100% believe that this temple is the one that we are seeing right now. In this temple, you can find quite a few things. First of all, you can see at the bottom there is maybe a portal. Where does this portal go? We have no idea. Honestly, it could go absolutely anywhere. Most likely probably goes to the Temple of Gaia, which is a concept art. You guys can see this right here. It's probably taking you here. But also in this concept art, there's something called memory mirrors. I wonder if there are memory mirrors in this temple. And a memory mirror, we don't really know what they do, but honestly, it's my opinion, it's probably the best way for Hytale to show flashbacks of what happened to the world of Orbis in the past. If you did not know, Orbis has an entire lore to it. When we see Gaia symbols and Orbis symbols, I'll talk about them a little bit later on in this video because they do come up. There is remnants of what probably was some sort of grand war between Gaia and Varen or something along those lines, and I think these memory mirrors, it's a great way for Hytale to explore the war. Probably, maybe if you look at a memory mirror, you'll get a cutscene of what happened in the area. I think that could be really cool. I 100% believe that this little circular structure over here is one of these Gaia temples, or just temples. It's just a concept art for a temple, but I 100% think it's like a Gaia temple that'll lead you to the actual Temple of Gaia. The second thing I want to talk about comes in about a minute 49 in the video, and it's the Outlander banner, armor, and all the markings on them. If you didn't know, Varen has its own symbol called the Evil, and it is that kind of diamond looking ruin or image or whatever you want to call it. And these images, these diamonds, are all over the Outlanders. You can see it on all of their banners. They have diamonds. They have diamonds that have 4 points that face up. It's really cool. You can see it on everything that has to do with Varen. Any mob that's really trying to attack you that has these kind of green glowing eyes and everything like that, they're all Varen type mobs, which in my opinion means Varen is controlling them. But then you also look at the Outlander banners. They also have these little lines around them, and that also means evil contained. Not sure exactly what that entitles or whatever, but it has something to do with Varen, or maybe evil's contained in these guys. Not really too sure. And if you look at the video here, you can see on the Outlanders, on their chest pieces, on their heads, on their ankles, their torso, they have these diamonds literally everywhere. And those are all markings of Varen. If you don't know, like I said, it's in the iconography concept art. It means Varen, so Varen's 100% controlling these guys. We don't really know how, and it's most obvious on their chest as it has that green glowing diamond. And if you don't know, green's also the color of Varen. It's kind of like green and purple. These guys, like I said, clearly corrupted or controlled by Varen in some sort of way. And we also today did get a image from the Hytale team where there's some sort of dark magic used, and there's a big Colossus Outlander in the middle of this pit. Don't know what type of magic that is, but if I were to be willing to put any money on it, probably some sort of void or Varen magic. The next bit of lore you can see takes place around 3 minutes in the video when Simon is battling a bunch of skeletons in this sort of old rundown dungeon or temple or whatever you want to call it, and these skeletons have a different symbol on them. No, they are not controlled by Varen. In fact, I don't even think, maybe a little bit they are. Maybe they have some sort of magic like those blue glowy eyes that I've been talking about in my most recent videos, which represent the undead faction. But these guys, instead of having Varen symbols on them, they have Gaia symbols or, for example, Orbis officer symbols. And I say this because because if you take a look at the Tessa and Kairos concept art, there is a sword and a shield in the bottom left of it, and on that shield it is the Orbis Officer sword and shield. It's basically the Orbis Officer symbol, and if that also correlates to if you go to the iconography, the Gaia symbols as well. As you can tell, Gaia is probably the person, the good guy of Orbis, let's put it that way. And on these skeletons, it's not on every single piece of equipment, it's mainly just on their chest pieces. They have these Orbis Officer symbols. It's literally the exact same symbol. It's that little triangle stump at the bottom with those trees branching out. And all these skeletons have it. And basically every single skeleton in every single zone has this sort of Orbis Officer symbol or logo on it. I'll point it out as the video goes on because we're only 3 minutes in, but right now you can see the skeletons have it. They have these Orbis Officer symbols. And then if you move on just a little bit later in this fight, and you can see the banners on the wall of this prefab or dungeon or whatever you want to call it, they also have the Orbis Officer symbol. So in my opinion, this is either a rundown, old, abandoned, like camp or fortress for Orbis officers, or for example, it is a rundown village that used to be protected by the Orbis officers. Maybe the inhabitants of this village used to fly the banner of the Orbis officers, so other creatures, for example, the Trorks, maybe the Outlanders, who else, whatever was in this world, is trying to stay away from this land because you know it's protected. Or like I said, it's just an old Orbis officer fortress that got destroyed over time, and maybe we'll use one of those memory mirrors one day to find out what really happened. In my opinion, one of the most interesting and my favorite bits of lore to talk about is the lore between the Scarix and the Pharans. At 10:27 in the video, you can see Simon is looking around at this map and he stops at this kind of bigger prefab or structure. And people are saying it's a ziggurat. While that is correct, in my opinion, I think it's a sand palace. If you take a look at one of the old concept arts, this concept art is the Howling Sands Scarix architecture concept art, and I'm looking at the specific sand palace part, and I believe it's a sand palace because it has that little courtyard in the front, or I guess kind of before the main castle area of the quote-unquote ziggurat over here. If you didn't know, the Scarix used to enslave the Pharans, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but honestly, I believe that they used the Pharans to build these sort of ziggurat slash places for where the Sand Empress apparently is going to be enslaved, which is pretty cool. If you take a look at the Sand Palace in the concept art, there is a text under it says, "Underground is a big magic gate, leads to the instance where the Sand Empress is imprisoned." Who is the Sand Empress? What is the Sand Empress? We have no idea. But if you take a look at the iconography, once again, I love this. I love the iconographic concept art just for strictly lore. The Sand Empress kind of has a bug-looking creature, and it looks very similar to the markings at the front of the ziggurats. I'll zoom in on them as well. Kind of where that crystal is in the middle that kind of runs the ziggurat. Not really sure what it is. Maybe the ziggurat is kind of like the big homing beacon for all of the Scarix, because all the Scarix have these little blue antennas that kind of communicate with each other. So I wonder if you kill that crystal or whatever it is, maybe it'll kill all of the Scarix. Not really too sure. That's pretty cool. But like I've said, I think the Sand Empress is a Pharan, but the fact that the symbol of the Sand Empress is these little spiderish legs looking thing, it leads me to believe that maybe it is a Scarix. Why would Scarix be imprisoning other Scarix? It makes no sense to me, and that's why I can't wait to explore this in the game. Also, there are those two watchtowers on the side as well, which also leads me to believe that this is the Sand Palace instead of like a regular sand prison or just a regular ziggurat as well. But let me know what you guys think. I think this is one of the coolest parts in the 16-minute gameplay video about Hytale lore, and I'll talk a little bit more about the slavery of the Pharans a little bit later on as well. Another really cool hint to lore that I find really exciting and I don't know any answers about is the totems or the totem poles with the lights in the Slothian villages. Because you can see on the top of the totem pole, obviously there's the light, and then under it is the engraving of a Slothian. That makes complete sense. It looks like a sloth, is a sloth. Cool, we understand that. But what is under that? It is a dragon-looking thing with a green tongue and green eyes. Not sure what that means at all. But then, nearing the end of the video, when Simon was taking a look at all the mobs, there was an option there for a fire dragon. And now I'm starting to believe that it could potentially be a fire dragon. It would make more sense if it was red, in my opinion, so I don't know why the eyes and the tongue are green. That's why theories back in the day were kind of like, oh, maybe it's like the cave rex, the cave raptor, maybe the Dimetrodon. We don't really know, but right now I'm kind of leaning towards it being either one, an extinct creature that we don't know, two, one of the cave dinosaurs, or three, maybe it is the fire dragon, because this fire dragon, or because the Slothian villages take place in Zone 4, and Zone 4 is... and zone floor represents the element of fire. Let me know what you guys think. Kind of a far-fetched theory, but I think it's pretty cool. And if you have any ideas to why there are the Slothians kind of above this dragon-looking creature, let me know in the comment section. I told you I was going to go back to the Pharons and their slavery, and this is because when Simon at 15 minutes and 30 seconds spawns in this Pharon, it has these little bracelets on its wrist and on its ankles, and some people might be wondering what those are. Well, those are freedom bracers, and if you don't know what a freedom bracer is, it's kind of like something that goes on the wrist and ankles, I guess, and the Pharons wear this to remind them of their past slavery from the Scarix, which we saw in a Pharon concept art back in the day. And if you notice, there is a little engraving on these freedom bracers as well, and though that is the symbol of wind, and in Hytale, the symbol of wind means freedom. It's very fitting that the symbol of wind and freedom is the element of Zone 2, and that's where the Pharons and Scarix take place. I see what you're doing there, Hytale. I respect the lore. It's awesome, and it's super cool to dig into things like this, because I don't know how many other games kind of do this. I mean, Minecraft surely doesn't have any lore like this, but either way, I think it's really cool, and I love the lore between the Scarix and the Pharons. And if you know anything else about it, if you notice anything else about them, please let me know, because I think it's super cool. But with that being said, those are the hidden features of lore that I found in this Hytale 60-minute gameplay clip. If you did enjoy and you want to see more lore and content like from Hytale from me, hit that like button, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 10K before Hytale releases, so please hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.